The sound of cicadas buzzed low across the wide plains as I sat on my porch, sipping coffee and watching the sun stretch its arms over our family ranch. My 12-year-old daughter, Lacey, was out in the corral brushing her pony. Daisy, while our ranch dog Scout, lounged under the porch steps. It was a quiet Sunday morning, just the way I liked it. It's peaceful, grounded. That was until the HOA president Karen Wilcox showed up in her beige SUV like a desert dust storm, ready to ruin the day. Asterisk Karen had been a thorn in our side ever since the HOA was formed 2 years ago by a group of out-of-state retirees who moved in and decided to improve the area. Our ranch, homesteaded by my grandfather in 1954, had stood long before any homeowners association ever dreamed of existing. And while technically within the boundaries of their little mapped-out domain, we'd been granted an exemption thanks to county zoning laws and historical ownership records. Karen didn't care about facts, she cared about control. Asterisk, she marched right up the gravel path like she owned the soil under her feet. Her oversized sunglasses gleamed, and her clipboard was already out. Asterisk, she can't be out there, Karen barked, pointing dramatically toward the corral where Lacey was now holding a treat out for Daisy. Children under 15 are not allowed to handle livestock unsupervised per HOA Safety Clause 9.4. I've warned you before. Sheriff McAllister, and this time I've filed a formal complaint. Asterisk. I took a slow sip of my coffee, letting her words hang in the air. First of all, Karen, this isn't HOA jurisdiction. It's private land, my family's land. And second, I said, standing up to my full height, I am supervising her. Asterisk. Karen's nose twitched like a rabbit. I've also noted several non-compliant structures like that new barn and your failure to submit landscaping approval forms. You don't get special treatment just because you wear a badge. She turned abruptly and stormed off toward her car. I thought that would be the end of it. But an hour later, just as I was loading feed into the back of my truck, I saw the red and blue lights flicker down the road. Asterisk. 2 county patrol cars pulled up, kicking up dust. Deputy Collins and Deputy Reyes stepped out, both looking bewildered. Asterisk. Sheriff? Collins asked, adjusting his sunglasses. We got a call from a woman claiming there was a minor in danger on a livestock property. Said she witnessed child endangerment and demanded we remove the child immediately. Asterisk. Karen strutted up behind them, holding her phone high like it was a royal decree. I want that child removed now. I've filed everything by the book. Have to act? Asterisk. Collins and Reyes looked at me with that awkward tension cops get when they're forced into a situation they know makes no sense. Asterisk. I took a step forward and motioned them aside. You both know this is my ranch and that's my daughter. I've supervised her on this land since she was 5. You're not dragging her off anywhere. Asterisk. But Sheriff, Reyes began. She said the HOA filed an official child welfare concern. Asterisk. And that means protocol. I finished for him. Which also means we do a welfare check, not an armed removal. And since I'm the county sheriff, that falls under my jurisdiction? Asterisk. Karen's face dropped as those words landed. She clearly hadn't known who to call, and when she finally got through to dispatch, she must have exaggerated enough to make it seem urgent. Asterisk. Let's go talk to Lacey, said calmly. Asterisk. As we approached the corral, Lacey looked up and gave a small wave. Hey, Daddy, is something wrong? Asterisk. No, sweetheart, I said, giving her a quick side hug. Just some folks asking questions. Asterisk. Reyes gave her a friendly smile. How do you feel, Lacey? You doing all right out here? Asterisk. Lacey nodded. Daisy was just shedding a little, so I'm brushing her out. She's calm today. Practiced riding earlier. Daddy was watching. Asterisk. Deputy Collins scribbled something in a notepad, then looked up at Karen. She's fine, ma'am. Safe. Calm. No signs of distress. No abuse. No neglect. Case closed. Asterisk. Karen's nostrils flared. This is abuse of power. You're all just covering for each other. Asterisk. I turned to her slowly. Karen, you trespassed onto private property. You filed a false emergency report. And you attempted to interfere with a lawful parenting situation. That's 2 misdemeanors, and potentially a felony if I can prove malicious intent. Asterisk. She paled. I was just following HOA rules. Asterisk. No, you were abusing them. Asterisk. I took a breath. Let me remind you one last time. This ranch is under historical exemption. Your HOA has no legal power here. You've been warned. The next time you cross this line, I'll have no choice but to file charges. Asterisk. She huffed and turned back toward her car, but not before muttering, "We'll see what the board has to say about this." Asterisk. After she left in a cloud of gravel and bitterness, the deputies stayed for a minute. Olin shook his head. Asterisk. She's something else, huh? Asterisk something. I replied. She doesn't understand that not everyone bends to her rules. Asterisk. That night, I sat by the fireplace while Lacey sketched horses in her notebook. Scout rested at her feet. Daisy nickered softly in the barn outside, and the stars stretched across the black velvet sky. The peace had returned. Asterisk. But 2 days later, I received an official letter on HOA stationery delivered to my office at the Sheriff's Department. Asterisk. It claimed that due to multiple violations, the HOA board had voted to fine me $25,000 and suspend my property's access to community utilities, including road maintenance and irrigation. Asterisk. It was laughable, but also dangerous. Asterisk. So I drove to the next HOA meeting. In uniform, Karen's eyes nearly popped out of her head when I walked into the town hall. "I'd like to address the board," I said firmly. Asterisk. A few gasps echoed. Some members leaned in. Curiously, others already looked guilty. Asterisk. I stood at the front and laid out every piece of evidence. Land deeds, zoning laws, exemption codes, the historical preservation permit, the sheriff department's findings, and finally, Karen's false report to 911. Asterisk. This board, I said, has no legal jurisdiction over my ranch, and any further action taken by this board or its president against my property or my daughter will be considered harassment. I will not hesitate to press charges and file a civil suit. Asterisk. I looked each board member in the eye. Let power go to your heads. Remember, rules are meant to protect a community, not control it. Asterisk. Karen tried to object, but even the board had had enough. One of the members stood and announced an emergency vote to remove her as president, effective immediately. The motion passed. Karen stormed out, red-faced and defeated. Asterisk. I left the meeting knowing peace might finally return to our ranch. Not because I was the sheriff, not because of the badge, but because in the end, facts still matter, and so does standing your ground, especially when it's your ground.